If you're watching this video, this behind the scenes of Host City Hustle, then you are a small business owner, a creativepreneur, a solopreneur, or gig worker with a product, brand, or service. This is your access to education and resources to help your business align for the World Cup coming to a host city near you. Now, today's guest is Debbie Simmons, keynote speaker, author, and CEO of Anchorpoint, also known as the Legacy Architect, and I love that. In this episode, we are titling Small Business Global Stage, the Trust to Conversion Playbook for World Cup. Debbie breaks down how to prepare your messaging systems and leadership now so increased attention turns into real revenue without the burnout or the hype. Now have your pen and paper ready, plan to re-listen and apply what you learn, and stay tuned. There will be transcripts and educational materials available. And also, we do have the AI planner. So if you heard anything in this episode today and you want to see if there's a way you can incorporate that into your business model, visit the AI planner, hostcityhustle.com/AI planner. Without further ado, Debbie, thank you for joining us on the Host City Hustle platform. How are you?
I am good and I'm glad to be with you guys today.
Thank you so very much. So while my co-host is not present for this episode, he is working, and so he's not going to be on today, and probably for many of this behind the scenes content that we're doing. Um, Nonetheless, he says hello, and we are so pleased to have you. In this episode, we really want to emphasize and clarify what people need to know and feel and what they may encounter during the World Cup season. Also ensure systems and decision pathways and team capacity are ready for the visibility spikes. And we want to help build experiences that convert attention into relationships and not just transactions. And I know you know a thing or two about some of that.
Mhm.
So for the listeners who are meeting you for the first time, Debbie, explain how your work as a leadership strategist and CEO of Anchorpoint evolved into what you're doing today.
Sure, that would be great. Well, I would tell you the way most of us grow is through our own lived experience, right? And so our big deal is, hey, how can we help others learn from what we've learned from so they don't have to experience all of the hard things? So I obviously was blessed to start a nonprofit 15 years ago and to build it into a multi-million-dollar organization that impacts thousands of lives. And really, God has just been, I still do all of that, but I have a wonderful team, and it's now allowing me to get out and to begin to invest in others from the legacy architect standpoint to say, hey, let me give you some of wisdom that comes with these gray hairs to say, hey, let's save you some problems, right? And so that is the process of transition is, hey, as you if you build something, you want it to be able to still stand and continue on even after you're gone. So I'm not leaving yet, but it's building and it's impacting people, and then I get the opportunity to then begin to impact others and watch ripple effects as they begin to align their businesses, both internally and externally, so that they can have the most impact. And so that is how I get to kind of move into this legacy architect type statement, our calling that I get to go into next.
I love that. So build it, build it so that it is sustainable, build it so that it is centered around community and impact, and you see the exponential growth, hence the name, the Legacy Architect. So
Mm-hmm.
let's get into the title, and I love that name. You're known as a legacy architect. What does that mean in the context of busy business readiness for a global event?
Sure. Okay. Well, let me just go ahead and say, I get to help leaders stop trusting hustle, control, silence, and start building systems that actually hold. Okay. So I get to be this strategist, CEO, a mother of 9 children, all adopted, all with trauma backgrounds, and I've led in the spotlight and rebuilt in the shadows. And I get to teach this because it's truth and it's not just theory, right? It's survival turned into structure. Okay. So if we look at FIFA 2026, isn't just about opportunity, it's also about pressure. Okay. And when pressure hits, most businesses trust the wrong thing. Okay. They trust urgency, they trust hustle, and they trust self resilience, especially if we're entrepreneurs and we're kind of building it up. Okay. So I help leaders build trust that holds. So when the world shows up, their house doesn't collapse. Okay. So what I do is really simple, but it's very surgical. Okay. I help people figure out what their system is actually trusting because we always trust something. So, like hustle, micromanagement, or people pleasing, and swap that out for structure, clarity, and rhythm. Because when the pressure hits, whatever you trust shows up. And if your trust is built on survival mode, you'll burn out or you'll break down. Okay. But if your trust is built with these other things, your system doesn't just survive the spotlight, it converts it into revenue, alignment, and ultimately real legacy. And
Mm.
so that is what we've got to do as leaders is we're constantly looking at what we're trusting and reevaluating the structure that we have in place to make sure that we're successful and we're going to be here long term.
I love that. You touched on this next question quite a bit, but I want you to elaborate when you were talking about building the trust factor and what is the opposite of that. So, what do most businesses get wrong, specifically small business owners, when they are getting an influx or an increase of maybe patrons who are patronizing their business?
Hmm.
When it comes to that trust factor, I think that's something that you're building over time. Sometimes, like in the case of the World Cup, you're going to have these people who've never experienced your business at all. What do businesses get wrong when they're starting to see an influx in their business?
Right. Okay. So if we are waiting till we see the influx in our business to really address this issue, we're going to have a problem. Okay. So it's really, we have to be really out in front of it because as entrepreneurs and small business owners, you know what? Anchorpoint got built, the nonprofit that I run, because I hustle, I have a sense of urgency, and I am self-reliant, right? Okay. But if I can't show up 100% me, I can't show up 100%, then everything starts to fall apart. Okay. So my structure that I'm trusting in is completely on me, and I have to be 100%, and that is not realistic anytime. Right? Now we can do that for a long, long time. But what happened for me was I shut a truck door on my leg and I got a bad injury that turned into a huge staph infection. And I spent 9 months getting that wound closed. Okay. And I spent 5 years rebuilding my health. All right. Now, what that should tell you is I wasn't able to show up 100%. So if I hadn't built some of the systems and structure and everything in there so that I could not be 100%, but still be involved, but not be 100%, my entity would still function. So the problem is going to be for businesses is if we wait till the FIFA, gets here, then we're going to be in trouble. Okay, so this type of work is something that we need to do now. We need to stop and figure out what we are trusting
Mm.
and make it doesn't have to be huge adjustments. Make adjustments now so that we can be prepared to handle the thing because you got to remember the when FIFA comes, it is going to be pressure. So think about an egg in a vice grip, okay? and you want that egg to stay, but if it's not hard boiled and you start screwing that thing down, it's going to eventually break, right? Okay, so pressure just reveals where trust is broken.
Mm-hmm. I
Okay,
love that.
and if we pre-think through that, we can begin to make adjustments so that when it's time to be on, we're ready.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's where we make the mistake. And so the mistake is don't make it now. Right now is the perfect time to begin to make some adjustments to prepare you to be ready.
Yeah. Stay ready so you won't have to get ready. That is also what I'm taking
Yeah.
away from what you just shared. So,
Yeah.
what does it look like? Let's put it into practice, making it practical for some people. What does trust function as a conversion tool look like, especially during moments of high visibility? So, how do you start to build the trust and
Okay.
make yourself visible?
Okay, so let me walk you through kind of I use trust as an acronym. So let me explain to you what those
Love
are
that.
and then let me give you walk you through a real life example because I thought this might be the most helpful for you guys, okay? So when we talk about trust, the first T stands for take inventory. What do you trust under pressure? Hustle, control, people pleasing, that's architecture, not just behavior. Okay. So when we think about it, I always have to go, okay, what do I do when the pressure starts happening? And you know what I like to do? I like to control everything. I just clamp down, right? Okay. Well, that's not effective long term. Okay. It might get us through the crisis, but we can't operate like that all the time. Okay. So then the R is we need to learn to replace the default. So I need to swap survival responses for sustainable structure. So I can't control like that. So, what roles, rhythms, and decision filters or systems do I need to put in place? Not like a major overhaul, but what are simple things that I can do? Use simple systems, okay? Don't overthink it. Daily check-ins, maybe a check sheet here. Look at your protocols. Keep it simple and real. These are easy adjustments, okay? Now, if you have people working with you or if you just need to talk to yourself, the S stands for say it out loud, okay? If your team doesn't know the plan, these simple systems that we're going to use, they're guessing. So we're going to define how trust looks out loud and we're going to repeat it often, okay? And then the last T is test and tweak because this is a lifestyle, okay? It's not just a one-time thing. So stress that we run into exposes structure. So what broke last time? Let's fix that now and before the spotlight hits again. Okay, so let's walk through this example that I have because I think it is really kind of one of the best things. Okay. All right, so here we go. This is a lady wanting to scale who wants more without melting down. All right. So this is Maya. She's already successful and she's ready to scale without losing her mind. So might be someone getting ready for the FIFA World Cup coming, right? She runs a small marketing agency. She has about 4 team members, a steady client roster, and now big brands are circling as FIFA comes closer. She's hungry. She's ready. But here's the deal. When she looks at her organization, her team is at capacity. She's the glue, the strategist, the closer, the client fixer. If she now scales without structure, the whole thing is potentially going to tip. So she thinks she's ready for more business, but her system is still trusting hustle, not infrastructure. Okay. So if we take her through this and we say, okay, one, we need to take inventory, we might ask her, what are you trusting to hold this growth? Her honest answer probably would be me. I'm trusting me. I know I can count on me to do this. Her calendar says yes to everything. Her team is over to functioning. She's checking every deck before it goes out, and she's trusting her personal presence, not a process. Okay? She's not going to be scaling. What she's going to be doing if things stay the same is stretching. And when she stretches, things are going to snap. All right. So that was step one. Step two is we got to learn to replace the default. So that's the R. So here's where we need to her to go from hero to architect. Okay. Instead of trusting her hustle, we need her to start implementing systems of capacity. Maybe like a client decision maker matrix, which type of clients qualifying for FIFA tiers, retainers, all kind of things, so she can prioritize what they're doing. Templates, maybe for proposals and onboarding that would be handled by one of her team. Okay, not her. Weekly traffic control meetings with her team. So they're owning timelines and not just asking her. And she's giving away, so one of the hardest things for us who like control is she's giving away the responsibility in a safe system so that she can feel good and they can feel good. Okay. So now she's not going to have to say no to business, but she's got some things in place so she can build capacity for better business. Okay. And we don't want to confuse more with better, okay? We want better, all right? And structure is what lets us scale without burning out. So now the simple systems. This is where trust becomes operational. So her project manager gets assigned the kickoff call with the client. The client tracker lives in a dashboard that easily everybody can see, and nobody's going, hey, what's the status of this one? And what's the status of that one? That's total chaos. She pre-schedules content reviews days, so she is not bottlenecking the system. Okay. It's not super sexy, but it's repeatable. Okay. And she is no longer the magic. The system can become the magic. All right. So now S is say it out loud. She tells the team something like this: we're building to scale. That means I'm not the center anymore. Structure is. That means clearer roles, tighter systems, better communications. If we don't build it now, we'll break under the weight of what's coming. She even can tell her clients in an email campaign, this is what we're doing. We're upgrading our internal systems to serve you faster, clearer, and more effectively. Because when FIFA hits, we want to be the team you trust, not the team that fumbles, right? Okay. So she's going to repeat that, build that into her strategy. Now, step 5, test and tweak. This is when the rubber hits the road. Then comes her first 30,000 inbound client from a national brand. The system mostly holds. Okay. But here's what cracks. Her team still has her on every communication. Can you still hear me all right?
I can still hear you. I see that
You see
the
the camera thing. Let me
yeah.
see. Okay. Let me finish this example, then I'll try and fix it so you'll have everything. Okay. She still is double checking proposals at 10 p.m. and one client is complaining about onboarding speed. Okay. That's not failure. We don't need to look at it as failure. We need to look at it as a test. And every crack shows her how to tighten everything up. All right. She adjusts. She reduces her visibility in communications. She adds a 24-hour onboarding auto flow, and she trains her team to own the client journey fully. Now she's shrinking back, but she's getting sharper as she grows. So she didn't have to say no to growth. She said yes to trusting structure over self. Now she's scaling without bottlenecking, without burning her team, and without dropping the ball when FIFA opens the floodgates. She didn't lower her capacity. She raised her standards and built a system to make it happen.
I
Okay.
love that.
Okay. All
As
right.
you're fixing the camera, I love that Maya used to overextend herself. She was stretching herself too thin, busy working on the business, busy working in the business and not so much on the business. And that with your trust framework, which again, trust, replace, use simple systems, say it out loud, and then test and tweak, allows her to then pull back and then she can focus and refocus her energy doing other things that are more pressing or that are going to be converting. And so I really, really love this trust framework. You guys, I have used Elgato in the past too, and I think it's really cool. So, just a pro tip, Elgato is something that you can use to let's basically like a webcam, we'll say.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
really like Elgato, but sometimes it gets a little finicky. But we roll with the punches because that's what we do as professionals.
Well, it's just a great example of when pressure comes.
That's right. That's right. You keep going. Trust the process is what I
Yeah,
heard in everything that you've just shared.
yeah.
And so I know another thing that you talk about within one of your frameworks is operational readiness. And so can you define what operational readiness is?
Sure. Okay. I go operational readiness for me is when the stuff hits the fan, we're ready, right?
Awesome.
Okay. And so, the more that we practice and think about these things and think about the systems that are going to be able to do it. We just had a wonderful opportunity, even at Anchorpoint, is we were awarded a grant that was over $1 million a year. Okay. But it required us to increase the number of clients that we served, right? And I kept telling the staff, dude, I wrote for this grant. I'm going to get it. You guys better be prepared. And they did some preparation, but I got the grant. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And they are going, "Oh, I wasn't quite prepared." And so this is their growth process too, but it's like, okay, it came and now we're not ready, So one of the things I always try and teach people is, God is never going to put us in a place where we're going to fail. And so, in order for us to be ready, I always like to think of, I go, anytime anybody comes to me and they go, okay, well, we serve thousands of clients already at Anchor Point. And I go, okay, so what if we serve 10,000? How would your structure look different? Right. And this is the way you need to start operating, or you'll never get there. And so this is my idea of operational readiness. So if you have a book of business that is, $100,000 a year, which is great, but you want to have 250, then the structure that you have now will not get you there, or it'll kill you in the process. Okay. And we don't want that. And so what happens is when we feel called to go do more, all right, that means our desires have outgrown our current trust.
Mm,
And we've got to make adjustments, or we'll never be able to go for the other. And that is, to me, the ideal understanding of are we operationally ready is
mhm.
where do we want to be in a year or 5 years? And how do we get ready for that? Or in the example of FIFA, we got 6 months.
Yeah,
So in 6 months, how are you going to be ready? Because really, you need to be ready in about 3 months because
right.
all the ahead stuff's going to start coming. It's going to come very fast. And so, taking a week and just stopping and thinking about this and fixing things right now is the way to make sure you're ready.
Yeah.
So,
So
mhm.
to be operationally ready, meaning that you are setting yourself up for success no matter what kind of influx comes your way. A large part of scalability, I know, is also rooted in the marketing, and you mentioned ads. And so let's talk a little bit about messaging really quick.
Mhm.
How can leaders simplify messaging without dumbing it down? And I think this is one of those things that we often overcomplicate. And we're busy trying to look at everybody else and what they're doing, and then our messaging doesn't align with what our practices are. So just talk about simplifying the message.
Yeah. So for simplifying the message, the question that I always like to start with is if I could tell a customer one thing, what would I want them to know and what would they take away? I mean, like because you could tell them 100 things, but probably only one thing's going to stick. So let's don't like tell them 100, because if we tell them 100, it's totally overwhelming to them. And what it causes is it causes paralysis. They can't even move and do anything because they're like, it's too much. Just think about like when you're dealing with a little kid. You don't give them like 100 choices or you'll be there all freaking day. You give them two or three that maybe you could live with and let them pick, and everybody's happy. They got to pick and I got one of the versions that would work for me. So think about, what is the one thing you want them to know? Okay. And then build your marketing around that. Because in this day and age, integrity matters. Okay. Because there's so much just chaos and noise, and you want to be so laser focused that it can pierce right through that and get to the heart of the matter. And if you are a growing business entrepreneur, the real thing is, you and I, as the leaders, it's the relationship with the customer that is what actually makes it happen. And so, who am I as a person? How do I show up? And, what kind of confidence level do I bring to a phone or Zoom conversation to help us be successful in my ability to be succinct and clear with them? And, what are the promises I can make? But if I'm putting stuff out there on social media, I want to just go for one thing or one or two things that are very easy to remember. And they go, oh, so like when we think about Debbie Simmons and my personal brand, I want you to think about trust, right? And the fact that we all trust something. And if it's not working, your trust is leaking, something's wrong, and I can help you. That's what I want people to remember. And when things fall apart, they remember. Right. And so that's what I think about when I think about how do I, put things out there. Simple, simple, simple. And integrity matters way more than anything in
Yeah.
this day and age. Do what you say.
Agreed.
Hmm.
Especially in this world of there's a lot of coaches, there's a lot of AI, and there's a lot of moving parts, like you said, a lot of chaos, but find the calm in the storm
Hmm.
and stick to that trust that you know that you create in the rapport that you create with your customer and stay true to that and just watch yourself grow exponentially.
Hmm.
Let's hear, speaking of your use simple systems as a part of your trust framework, let's hear some of the tools you're using to help you attain the level of success that you've gotten so far with something so cool as a $1 million grant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Okay. So, and this might get into a little bit into the AI too. Okay. So it might cover both of those kind of questions. But I would go, obviously as a business owner, you've got to have some kind of CRM that works for you. A customer relationship management system, and you got to have a way to take money and do all those things, that are the business thing. I enjoy the GoHighLevel products. They seem to have everything incorporated into one for the most part, as I'm doing my solo entrepreneur type things. And I love the fact that it's got the social media in there. It's got my CRM. I can easily do the funnels that I need to do, and I can attach my payment processors. So if I can get that all in one place and it works well, and I can do my email communications, I can do my text communications, I can automate a lot of things in there. But a good underlying system structure might be a GoHighLevel product, or there might be a couple of different ones, but you got to have a good one, and it's got to be easy to operate. And you got to be able to YouTube the answers or whatever, but you want to get the flow the best that you can. That is absolutely imperative. And then I would go, as you are building your client base, so you're getting emails, how often what is your plan for cultivating them, developing them? Uh, keeping yourself in front of them. In the nonprofit world, we say, hey, you get 7 no's before you get a yes on a donation. So, we have to constantly be educating or telling stories or communicating opportunities. And we don't ever want to not be kind of top of mind. All right. And so, what do you do to provide value to your name list that keeps you top of mind for when they need exactly what you have to offer? And do they know exactly what you have to offer? So I think those are a lot of the things. Now, I would tell you, um, GoHighLevel allows you to automate a lot of that, and they use kind of AI technology to do some of that. But I'm going, ChatGPT is your friend, okay, or Gemini or whatever you want to use. But, when you have to tailor proposals for people, you can feed in examples of proposals you've done in the past. Let's say you have a proposal that you did that was super great and it got you a good response and everything. Put that in there as an example. Ask it to use that as a framework for tailoring for this client based on this amount of money, based on this, and it'll generate it for you in 5 minutes. You can have a wonderful proposal that you can put out there. And what would have taken me hours before has now saved me a ton of time. It gives me the ability to do deep research on my clients. So what is it that makes them tick? Why would they want to be connected with me? What is it in their, if I know kind of like if I know FIFA's coming up and I want it and I'm a marketing agency and I wanted to contact restaurants to see if I could offer services that would allow them to expand what they're going to do during this time, I would go, okay, how do I pull a list of all the restaurants within this zip code? And not only the zip code, but I want to know if you can find it, who the owner is. I want to know the contact information. I want to know the manager. Pull, their website, pull everything that you can find. I want to know if I can find some revenue numbers on them. I'm probably going to look at that, and it'll pull together all of that information. That would have taken us forever before. And so those are just a couple of, ways that we can be creative to go. The other thing you could do with ChatGPT is you can say, I need to go, this is the person, this is their LinkedIn profile, this is information about, this is who I'm going to go pitch. Tell me, and I need to pitch this. Tell me what would be some good connection points and different things like that. And that would maybe help me be more ready for a one-on-one conversation that I was going into.
Very strong. So, customer relationship management tools, using something like an email sequencing that helps you keep the cultivation of that relationship strong. And then ChatGPT, leaning on ChatGPT to kind of help bring everything together, including your frameworks, including maybe your email sequencing, including whatever marketing strategy you're going to use. So I really love all three of those, and I highly recommend those to others as well. I have experience with Go High Level. I use HoneyBook, but I would recommend Go High Level to anyone because it is a lot of things housed under one umbrella, like you said, social media, your email sequencing, courses, you can build it all out. So instead of having to search, especially with the little time that we have for preparation, go
Mm-hmm,
use Go High Level. I highly recommend. All
mm-hmm.
right, so then as we're coming to the close, I would like for you to share one of the things that you think worked well to help you acquire such a cool grant, and then tell people how they can stay connected with the legacy architect.
Well, I'll make it even broader than just the cool grant. I will say, for most of my life, okay, the thing that has got me to where I am today is the willingness to not worry about like if I'm gonna like mess up, because we're all gonna mess up. But I'm like, I want to set a goal and I want to continue walking toward it. So, so the thing for me is, I've learned to give up the question of why, because why is a stuck question and we can't move forward. Okay. And I've learned to ask the question, okay, how do I survive? If I'm in a difficult situation, how do I survive this? Okay. And that means take the next best step. And then the next single service, take the next best step, take the next best step. Or if I'm in a good situation and I want to go to the next level, it's like, how do I thrive? Right? These are the questions that I like to ask. And then I'm always, no matter what happens, put down the why and I go, okay, what's the next best step? What's the next best step? Let me do that. And then amazing things happen when we take that step out of faith. Doors begin to open. Or we go, okay, that door closed and this over here became apparent. But it's the movement. Why keeps you stuck? The hows and stuff like that and the next best step, they keep you moving. And as long as you keep moving, there's opportunity to grow, expand, learn. I've learned humility and all this good stuff and how I need to like be willing to change things. And you learn all kinds of stuff, but your movement forward is what is going to win the day in the end. And every new day, the sun comes up. And
Mm.
so if it was hard yesterday, just hold on. And this is really one of the biggest ones. It's right when you feel like you can't do it anymore. So if we've taken care of the trust thing, but right when we feel like we can't handle it anymore, it's when the breakthrough's coming. So just hold on a little longer. And that's how I've made my way through life through the years. So, and if anybody wants to get connected with me, there is one free thing I would love to offer them. I have a book. It's called The Heart of Legacy: How to Be a Faithful, Focused, and Fearless Leader. That they can get at theheartoflegacy.com. And it's totally free. And it's a total blessing to help you kind of figure your way in this world. And it's got a lot of practical stuff in the middle of it for next best steps and everything. And then for me personally, you just go to thedebbieSimmons.com. Has all my social media and ways to get a hold of me. And I would love to connect and walk alongside any of you guys that it would be beneficial to.
Thank you, Debbie, for such amazing insights on this episode of Host City Hustle. We really appreciate you. We will make sure to have those links available in the description. I love this book already. I love the title. So the heart, right? Heart of Legacy.
Yep.
Okay. And we'll make sure that we share that link and how you can get in touch with Debbie personally through her personal pages. And you guys, for those of you watching, make sure, again, as you watch, you're not just watching, you're not just listening, but you are preparing yourself. This moment is bigger than content or visibility. It's about readiness, trust, and execution when opportunity knocks. Take your notes, revisit the episode as many times as needed. Use the transcripts, the tools, and that AI planner below in the description. And be sure to position your business to convert global attention into lasting revenue. This is another episode of Host City Hustle. I am Debbie. I'm sorry, I'm Danielle. My guest, Debbie. We want to make sure we say her name last. Debbie Simmons. And you all come back to revisit another episode of Host City Hustle. Take care.